and especially your little daughter who probably was
Yes.
waiting for you to come and then you didn't come. And then, like,
Yes.
there's so much trauma involved for everyone in this experience of you being kidnapped, right? But you are the main person who was kidnapped, and you were in the captivity and had to live through that experience and survive it, which she talks about in her book. So if you want more details, you have to go get the book and read it. You have to. It's a good read. It's an easy read. You can read it in like 4 hours, but it will keep you engaged the entire time. So essentially, like, coming out of there and feeling maybe some sort of animosity, I guess I would say. That's how I would have felt kind of towards my family, that I would have done anything possible to like get away from Colombia and also probably get away from them in some regard. Maybe not like never talk to them again, but just not be in their physical space. And then come here, and then in a new country where you don't really speak the language and you have to adapt and assimilate into a new culture that's completely different.
Yes.
And then, of course, you're in survival mode because you're surviving so many things. You're trying to get past what happened to you and try to forget it. You're trying to develop a life in a new country. And you've left everything that you've known and loved behind and started completely over. And now you have to make money to survive. So of course you're in survival mode, but you're in survival mode on so many levels. How did you start to work through that?
Ooh. Well, I'm going back to what you said about my family. Yes, it was. I didn't want to know anything about them, like almost for not saying, I'm not saying the whole entire 17 years, but I was mad at them, very
Mm.
mad at them. And I couldn't have a relationship with them, with my brothers, when my father and mother, I couldn't. Because, yes, like you said, they said about this and being when I was kidnapped, they said, we don't have money. God bless you. Your daughter's in good hands. Is what it is. For you, it's like, what you just hear. So when you get out, and then your father say, and when your father can say, like, wow, you look out to kidnap, because the kidnappers, they take care very well of me, because I did have Stockholm syndrome. But going back to your question, that how I get out, I got tired, I got exhausted in one point, that my relationships was not doing well, and always feisty, always very hard on people, and like, I don't care, this is the way I am, and not understanding me well, why I was with that attitude all the time. I was very hard on me, because I didn't know until I went to therapy, and the therapist said to me, Gloria, do you realize, do you be in survival mode the entire time? I said, no. Do you realize, do you have Stockholm syndrome? I said, no. Do you? It was a many stuff that I was not even aware. And when she was saying that, it makes sense to me. And then I start understanding more and more why my attitude. And then I feel sorry for me, not in victim mode, like, wow, of course I have to be that way. Not because I have to be. Of course I'm gonna be like that if I never deal with my trauma, if I never deal what happens to me. And I was like, I would say, like, very ignorant on my emotions and everything that I have. So for me to act that way, it was the right way for me to act, because I didn't know how to deal with all that huge trauma. So one of my friends, also, I was going to be massage therapy. I was studying to be a massage therapy. And one of my friends said to me, Gloria, let's go to have a retreat, a forgiveness retreat, and see what happens. So I went to this, forgiveness retreat, and that was the opening of my starting to my transformation. But the transformation is not like, okay, I go 4 days and that's it. I already different. No, it took me a lot of things to do, like forgive my parents. First, forgive myself to be so hard on me. Second, to be so hard with my parents and to not understand their story, because every story have two parts. So I the only thing I did is run away with my story in a victim mode. Of course, I'm a victim, but in a victim mode. But I never sit down with my mom and my father and say, "Why you guys say that? It hurt me
Mm.
so much."
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that. I was afraid even to bring that subject in until last December 2023. I sat down with them and I said, I want to know why you guys say this in the kidnap and when I was kidnapped. And my father said, no, I didn't want to say that. They make me to do that because that's the way to do so they can emotionally destabilize the kidnappers. And I also told my father, I feel that I was in a roulette, like
A
like okay,
gamble with your life.
right, gamble with
Yeah.
my life. And then he said he didn't want to say it.
Mm.
And my mom, he said also your mom have to take pills to be able to say that. So when he said all that, and I hear that, I cry for the entire day because I
Wow.
was so hard on them and I didn't understand also their pain. And also my brother, my second brother, said that he cries a lot. He was so sad for many years. And I like judge him also for many years that he don't love me, he don't care about me. It was like an open wound for me, and also open of, okay, we need to be conscious, we need to see the story of the two, we need to see the story but the two sides of the story, because I'm coming with a book and I don't want to be like, oh, the victim, that my family this and that. And also my book is completely devoted to my family, because if it was not for them, I was not here, and it was not for them, I was not able to be the woman that I am today. So it's a very powerful story, because we tend to not to run with our stories, but we don't hear the other story that also is very powerful in the other side.
Oh my God, love that you said that. This is something that I've been really experiencing and more conscious of, because we do this unconsciously, right?
Yes.
Something will happen with another person and their behavior will trigger us in some way or
Yes.
affect us in some way. And we will tell ourselves a story about what it means. Like we will make up this narrative about their actions without really knowing what their actual intention was, and we
Yes.
make it mean something. And a lot of times, because I don't know, I'm not going to get into all the science of it, but you can google it or look at it up on YouTube. But the way our minds are wired is for survival. From it's in our hardwired into our DNA from being cave people or whatever. But we are also prone to think negative. So we're going to automatically, most of the time, if you're unconscious, if you're not aware that you do this, you're going to choose the negative option, the negative story, and we're going to run with that story. And we will make decisions based on a story that's not even true, because we're so afraid to confront. So we I think most of us tend to want to avoid conflict, because we want to keep ourselves
Yes.
safe. Our goal in life, intrinsically, I think, is to be safe and to feel pleasure, like to avoid pain. So we're hardwired to avoid hard things, right? Most of us, or those of us are not aware that this is the thing, right? So we will avoid the difficult conversation while we're telling ourselves a story that's not true, and we will make real life decisions based on a story we made up in our mind.
Yes.
So it's incredible how a lot of people don't get to that point where you sat down with your parents and said, "Hey, I need to talk to you about this." And you had the difficult conversation and you got to sit with them and hold space for their pain,
Yeah.
even because all of you were kidnapped in some way.
Completely. And I can see still my father in some ways, the way he thinks, and also I can see fear on him. Like I was with them for 3 months last year to be able to overcome for me to be there in Christmas, because they kidnapped me in October 22nd, 1997 to January 28, 1998. So I went there to face my fear to be there. And even when I was there, I saw my father fears. And I said, oh my God, I now understand more. So I went there to turn around, to close the cycle of me being as, oh, victim, or my family this, or my family that. And also I feel like a lot of compassion for them. But also I need to learn how to ask the questions I want to ask, because I couldn't come and say, oh, you know what, you guys didn't want to pay for me, blah, blah. No, I want to know, why was the situation that you guys have to say this? So it doesn't sound like I'm judging them or criticizing
Attacking.
them,
Hmm.
attacking. So
Hmm.
when I said that, he right away opens to me and say a lot of stuff I didn't know about the kidnap. And also he already forgot a lot of stuff of the kidnap that I said to him. You say this, you say that. I said to him, why you said when I came out from the kidnap the same day, what you said that I look out to kidnap, like you thought I out to kidnap myself for ransom. And then he said, no, I didn't say that way. And maybe was the commotion of the moment that I see you looking so well, that's why it was the first thing that come out from my mouth. But I never thought you kidnap yourself.
Oh
So
my
I ran
God.
with that story in my mind for many years. And shame on me, I would say shame